Mayor Logren, I'd just like to say in closing that before Dan McKay speaks, that I thank all the people who have been very supportive of this initiative, and I thank the Municipal Accessibility Advisory Council, MOC. They unanimously have backed this proposal, and I met with them about a week and a half ago, and they thought that this would be very helpful to all people, not just disabled people, but all people in Timmins. And I'd like to thank also Bill Litchfield and Gary, who's with them. They'd just like to say a few words in help in backing this request. And perhaps we could hear from Dan McKay next, please.
For sure. Go ahead, Danny.
Okay. Where are we at?
Oh, okay. You're on, buddy.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, thank you, Mayor Tom and Council, for having us here this evening. Jim called me initially about this issue, and I asked him to come to MOC, Municipal Accessibility Advisory Committee, and he did come and present. And with me here tonight is Mike McPhail, another fellow member of MOC, consumer member like myself. So it was unanimously accepted by our committee that yes, this is a major safety barrier in that area. Like, as blind people, like it affects everyone, but as blind travelers like Jim and myself with our dogs, in training, both the dogs and us, we are trained to cross at controlled intersections, controlled crossings. It's not wise to do otherwise. You could be dead. So with that, like from 655 to Pine, a residential area like this area, to only have one controlled crossing on all of Ross Street, this is a barrier. And as a Municipal Accessibility Advisory Committee, under the legislation of the AODA, Accessible Ontarians with Disabilities Act, it is our mandate to identify the barriers so that we can address them, reduce them, prevent them. And this is definitely identified by the support letters, by Jim, who I don't know how he does it. I would hate to be trying to wing it across that crossing all the time. Like, our ears are our sight, our vision. When you're out there any given day, if the wind is strong, oh boy, you're deaf and blind. Now we have a whole different ball game. Somebody starts up a lawnmower or a snowblower, or there's a diesel vehicle idling nearby. When you happen to get there, again, you're not getting it. You just don't get the sound read. And human flesh to a ton of steel, we lose every time. So, you know, I just putting it down the way it is. So, as MOC and that legislation, we are here as an advisory committee to council, appointed by council, to identify these barriers, and hopefully we can all come to a solution and solve them in a proactive way. When it comes to traffic lights in our community, because we are various disabilities that sit at this table, there's 7 consumer members, we cover a lot of the different areas, and no better than the people that are walking the walk that should be a part of the talk when it comes to process for deciding where traffic lights should be and whether or not audibles, like on Algonquin, the gauntlet, absolutely necessary. But we should be a part of that process just in discussion under the legislation. And if there is ever a notion, like I know there has been around the table, regarding the removal of traffic lights, that must come through our table. Because again, in that letter, that last letter from CUPE, this human rights gets mentioned. So we are here as an advisory committee to council just to help, because you know, we're living it, so we like to be a part of it. So with all that, we are in major support of Jim's proposal. We hope the council can somehow find the dollars. I know it's tight everywhere for everyone, but it's a safety issue and someone's really going to get hurt. And as far as even the doctors, many doctors, nurses that work at the hospital walk. We can't afford to be losing doctors either. So I think that's about it for now. I thank you all for listening, and I'll pass it to Jim, and maybe his friends here.
Well, thank you. And does, Bill, are you prepared to say anything, or Gary?